You're listening to the world of business and taxes with Mike Lodge, keeping you informed. So let's get started.
And welcome back to another podcast of the WBT. I'm Michael Lodge, and today we're going to talk just a little bit about small businesses, those of you who are operating small businesses out of your home, because there are, in fact, the IRS just sent out a memo just a few weeks ago reminding you that you can use the home office deduction. So the IRS recently reminded small business owners, especially individuals who are self-employed, that there are two methods of deducting home office expenses. A lesser-known simplified method can provide a flat dollar write-off without the usual record-keeping hassles. But what the IRS didn't say is this: many taxpayers will be in line for a bigger deduction if they rely on the more traditional regular method. For starters, you may deduct home office expenses only if you use a portion of your home regularly and exclusively as your principal place of business, or a place to meet or deal with customers, clients, or patients in the normal course of your business. In addition, you may be entitled to deductions for a business storage area or a separate structure, such as a detached garage or barn used strictly for business purposes. If you qualify for this, you can deduct expenses directly related to your home office, as well as a proportionate share of certain expenses of the entire home. To claim a deduction, you may use the regular method or the recently approved simplified method. So let's talk about the regular method. This method requires you to compute the business use of the home by dividing the expenses of operating the home between the personal and the business use. Direct business expenses are fully deductible, and the percentage of the home floor space used for the business is assigned to indirect total expenses. And then there's the simplified method. This method reduces the paperwork and record-keeping burden for small businesses. It has a prescribed rate of $5 a square foot for business use of the home up to 300 square feet, for a maximum annual deduction of $1,500. Choosing this option requires taxpayers to complete a short worksheet in the tax instructions and enter the results of the tax return. There is a special calculation for daycare providers. So if you're running a small daycare center out of your home, there are special rules for that. Regardless of the method used to compute the deduction, business expenses in excess of gross income aren't deductible. Deductible expenses for business use of a home include the business portion of the following: your real estate taxes, your mortgage interest, your rent, casualty losses, utility, insurance, depreciation, maintenance, and repairs. So in general, expenses for the parts of the home not used for business can't be deducted. You also may take a deduction for a business storage purpose when the dwelling unit is the sole fixed location of the business or is used regularly for providing daycare services. Note, exclusive use isn't required in these instances. Even though the IRS is reminding taxpayers about the simplified option, your clients or our clients that we deal with every day may do better by deducting actual expenses. For example, suppose the 300 square foot room you use for a home office represents 10% of the home's total 3,000 square feet. Now say that you have direct expenses of $2,000 and $10,000 in indirect expenses, not counting mortgage, interest, and property taxes, which are generally deductible anyway. Using the regular method, your deduction of $3,000 or $2,000 plus 10% of $10,000 is twice the maximum deduction allowed with the simplified method. Review the situation with your tax accountant. Talk it over. Make sure that you understand what the home deduction is all about. Then your tax guy or tax girl can determine the best record-keeping approach. Remember, documentation. If the IRS wants to talk to you about this, you've got the documentation as to how you came up with that home office deduction expense. So remember, and also talk to your tax accountant and talk about the regular method and the simplified method. And I'm telling you, on my clients, the regular method always works out because we're able to document everything, and the deduction is a much higher deduction than taking the simplified method, and where you only get $1,500. So talk to your tax accountant, get ready for tax season, start thinking about it. If you're operating out of your home, take the deduction. It's very simple to do. Clarify it with your tax accountant and make sure that you're on the right track for the home office deduction. If you have any questions, just send it to me to mlodge@lodge-co.com, and I will try to answer your questions. Also, this podcast has been brought to you by Lodge & Company, which is a business advisory firm for small business and startups and individual taxation issues. So if you have a question, just call us at 877-778-1770, and we'll try to talk you through whatever issue you may have. That's it for today. Go out and take a home deduction and get organized.
This podcast is brought to you by the real estate firm that works for you. Castle Lodge Realty Group has highly trained real estate professionals to help you buy or sell a home. Professionals that know the real estate market and will find the right property for you. Call Amy Simone at 818-636-6804. The broker in charge. It's time to go home with Castle Lodge Realty Group, serving all of Southern California.
Thank you for listening. Join us again tomorrow.
Stay informed with the world of business and taxes with Mike Lodge.
Have a great day.